Hi everyone, this is AeroGear Community Meeting, July 9th, 2018, and I will be the facilitator today. So this is the schedule. So we first review the to-do items, move ones that are done, then review new column and vote for items. Then we discuss the top three for max 10 minutes each, and then capture actions and decisions. But first, let me bring this one. This is under discussion. This is a column which is not documented here. There has been some activity by Laura and Pasos. Laura, can I move this one to discussed column?
Yeah, I think Jason was able to get the email address from Matthias, and I now have the credentials for that one. So hopefully I'll be able to move the calendar now that I have those details. So I think we can consider that one discussed.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So there are new items and there's also this one. Does anybody know the status of this one? What's this agenda.next? Like, was this task already moved last week or the week before?
I believe we started talking about that one, but I don't think we finished out talking about it because I think either we didn't have time or we didn't have the right people on. So I think it's a candidate for this meeting. But I would say let's do the voting on the cards. So maybe move that one back and let's do a fresh vote, and then we'll discuss the top three. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Well, now that we have already talked about this, maybe we should keep this one because there has been some activity already, and I don't want that activity to be wasted. You know, when you start something new. Yeah, I will do that. I will do like that. So, everyone, please have a look at the items in the new items column and vote for a minute. I will wait for a minute and then move the top two to agenda.next. It starts now. Okay, another 20 seconds. Okay, if that's all right, I will rearrange the cards based on votes, or maybe I will just move up voted ones. Thanks everyone for voting. So community engagement. We have two cards with three. Since this one is on top, I will move this one. Yeah, so let's start by talking about this one. Adding search to AeroGear.org and docs.aerogear.org. Paul, do you wanna talk about this one and also maybe tell us what we have discussed already in the previous community meetings?
Sure. I think previously we weren't docs.aerogear.org wasn't being indexed. So that's been resolved. So at least you can use Google to search the docs.aerogear.org. What the question that remains is, if I can show you, is whether we want to have a search engine for the documentation that works like this, where the search actually gives the context and the top level topic that where the results are provided. I don't think this is very high priority, but it is possible, given that we're using Antora to publish the documentation. That would mean signing up with Algolia to be our search engine provider. And the alternative, which I could integrate without a lot of work, is to basically have a box here that would return Google search results similar to OpenShift.org, docs.openshift.org have it, I think. So when you enter search here, it pop up and the search results are in there. That's the easiest path, and it's probably good enough. I'm not sure how others feel about it.
I'd personally go with the Google approach because people will also go to Google directly. So we need, I think, to support Google search indexing. I actually just did a search for AeroGear mobile services on Google, and in the top 3 hits, 2 of them are docs pages that are now defunct. They still exist, but they're not our main docs pages. So I'd notice there's some re-indexing we can do there, but I'd vote for Google personally because they keep up with
sure. I have modified the sitemap.xml file to try and improve the search results, but I noticed that myself that we're still getting those bad. So, I guess there's nothing stopping us. I think an action, Laura, out of this will be for me to improve the search results, by getting rid of those defunct docs. And if everyone has agreed, then I think it's fine we just go with Google. Google, yeah, let's do what OpenShift does, as Summer says.
So is that an action for yourself, Paul?
Yep, to improve the search results and add I might call in for Jason or somebody for help with actually modifying the UI in order to present a search box within the site.
Okay, I will create these now.
Oh, sorry, Ali, I jumped in here.
I'm sorry?
I had beaten you to it there, Ali. I have 2 created there.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's about this task then. I will move this one to discussed. Okay, this was fast. Next one, community engagement. yeah, John created this task. Maybe John, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really just wanted to kick off the discussion now that we have a community release out. We need to start looking at growing and nurturing and building our community. And like as we all know, it doesn't happen on its own. It doesn't happen for free. So we need to get out there and spread the word and start talking at conferences and events and things like that. So I was just wondering what people's thoughts were on it, and is there some way we could collaborate on putting together a list of potential events that we could then maybe discuss on this meeting and agree which ones we want to target? And at least then we have a list that we can work to, maybe put reminders in the calendar so that we can look for budget approval to travel to them. And I think there's also quite a hop on we could do on to OpenShift Commons. They're already organising quite a lot of events all over the world. And they're often looking for speakers both for their online events and for their physical events that they host in different places. So just wanted to throw it out there and see what people think.
Yeah. Does anybody have any idea? Okay, so Summer says there's a conference, I think, in Connecticut in October. Yeah, guys, maybe you can speak.
Can speak.
I commented there on the chat. I can also say it. I have there's a local company that is interested in OpenShift, and I've agreed to give a presentation there and basically show OpenShift and the Ansible Service Broker. But I can also do this with the example of AeroGear and try to promote AeroGear.
Oh, hey, there it goes. Sorry. I was going to say the talk I have is not in Connecticut. It is at Connect.tech, which is an Atlanta conference in October.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Peter, were you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, this is this list. I think it's a good idea. By the way, I saw in the chat that people are trying to do this, but doing this work in a more organized way is a better idea. So if that's okay for everyone, I will create an action task for creating a list that has information about conferences and events that make sense to go and present our mobile.next or AeroGear services. When I actually read the title, community engagement, so we only mention like conferences and events, but what about blogs and you know, things like that, social media or whatever? Does anybody have any?
They are important too. I think they're easier to do. People can do them from their desk. The conferences and events typically need a lot more upfront planning. They need budgetary approval. And I think they're where you get the real value of engagement. I'd love to see more people writing more blog posts. And it's definitely something we should consider. But my thought was more on getting physically out there into the community where we can. But yeah, I agree. We should be looking at them too.
One quick question from myself. Are we okay to reach out to the companies or friends or someone like we know that they actively using OpenShift and they may have a lot of mobile apps, just to propose them a tutorial or show them the demos of our solution? It doesn't count as a conference. It's a little bit different involvement, but produce a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I think so. I think the more feedback we can get, the more eyes we can get on it, the better.
Okay, all good. So I think the faces in these are like the person assigned to it. Is there a volunteer that who initiates?
Yeah, since it was me that put the card on, I'm happy enough to put something together. Probably something in GitHub initially that we can basically update, do PRs against as we add stuff, and look at fronting it on the website. But it's going to need everyone to engage to actually add the stuff they're doing and ideas for other ones. So I'll put something together, but it's going to need everyone to get involved.
Okay, makes sense.
And Laura said she's happy to kick it off. So assign it to both of us. We'll collaborate on it.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. So
So if that's everything for this card, I will move this one to discussed. Yeah, I think you're also adding the links for the Trello card, the original Trello card. Yeah. Okay, next one. Peter, do you want to talk about this?
I remember we created this card the last time, and I think we wanted to find a way how to best deal with issues created by the community on our GitHub repositories. As far as I can recall, it wasn't deemed that high of a priority. But yeah, to be honest, I didn't think about what the best approach would be.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the chat, I think we had this problem before. It's so many repos. The main problem is just to discover them. So before that, there were some solutions to just gather those from GitHub API. If I remember, I don't remember who done that. But basically, for the moment, how it works is like numbers of people are assigned for SDK updates for tickets and PRs. So we actively monitor those. And we could do the same thing for APBs, mobile core, and so on, just to be able to react. But we can also talk about them or send them to the list if there's some kind of issue that needs to be talked with. But most important is just to being able to discover where we have like 30 repos.
That makes sense, Wojciech, I think. So we don't really have to use GitHub issues for driving our work, but yeah, once somebody creates a ticket in some repository, we need to be aware of it. And sometimes using the GitHub notification. Relying on GitHub notifications maybe not good enough. So any other ideas? Like, does somebody want to disable GitHub issues completely or something?
I wouldn't disable them completely, because that's the first thing a community contributor or someone who found a bug is probably looking for.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I think we shut out the community if we disable them. I think we just need to find a way of staying on top of them.
I mean, if all we do is automatically turn them into Jira issues, link the Jira to the GitHub issue, and then close the GitHub issue, at the very least, our annual Jira auto reaping will let people know whether or not we cared about their issue. If that makes sense.
Or we can leave the GitHub issue open, and then we have two places we can ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, my point is we don't want to have GitHub issues languishing no matter what we do. And we know, and I know that we have pretty good processes in Jira to keep things from getting too stale. So it sounds like the least like hard thing is to push something from GitHub into Jira. And if we close and either then auto close the GitHub issue with a link to the Jira issue, or when we close the Jira issue, push that close back to the GitHub issue, along with any sort of like metadata we might want to have. I mean, it's all infinitely scriptable. It's just finding someone to press the button regularly.
Yeah, and there are tools out there. I'm just doing a quick look to do auto syncing between GitHub and Jira. So, I mean, I think that would be the ideal, where we don't necessarily close the GitHub issue because that's where the community are more likely to engage, but we have some way of keeping them in sync. I think the challenge there will be getting it installed on our shared Jira instance.
I was just throwing off an idea about like disabling GitHub issues, because that's the other easy alternative, like disable it. But I wasn't really curious about that. So what are the approaches here then? Wojciech mentioned there was some tool which was reading the entire organizations, I think, in GitHub organizations, and checking like the new issues or something. That, I mean, that's kind of my imagination, but I would expect the tool to be something like that. And if that's the case, we need people who need to take care of this like regularly, or I actually don't know much about this tool, or if I understood it correctly or something. But my thought, I wouldn't go like use the tools that sync stuff between GitHub issues and Jira. That's too much, I think, for now.
Using both GitHub and Jira is, sorry, I think I missed the setup to that. Using both GitHub and Jira is too much, or what?
No, syncing, like using a tool to sync stuff between those. I think John was mentioning something like that.
I mean, the tools are easy. GitHub and Jira both have like webhook APIs. The biggest problem is, like John said, would just be getting the tool installed in our Jira instance.
Okay, so then what's the idea then? What's the action to create if everybody agrees on this?
I guess what we're overlooking here is tool or no tool, sync or no sync. It needs eyeballs on the issues, whether they're in GitHub or in Jira. It needs us to engage with the people who raised them. And I wonder, does it really matter where we engage as long as we do engage? So is an alternative approach here that we identify, like, we probably should be looking at having owners or maintainers for our various repos just in general, in terms of the people who need to review PRs and the people who will merge commits into those repos. So do we need to go down that route? And then it's the owner or maintainer of the various repos is the one that triages the issues and decides how to handle them.
Okay, so that would be like the first thing to do. Then, I mean, in any case, as you say, tool or no tool, we should go and define people like owners of repositories. And I'm going to create a card for that, an action for that.
And I think then it would be a case of, if there's a particular issue in a particular repo that the owner of the repo feels needs to be discussed, it can be added as a specific new item. Because this discussing GitHub issues, it's not one that we can leave there indefinitely, which kind of, I think, originally had been what we were thinking, was this would be a recurring agenda item. But there's no way in this meeting we can go and review all of the issues and all of the repos. That's just very inefficient. So if we have the owners of the repos identified, ideally listed on aerogear.org on the community page, and they are the people who bring specific issues that they feel need discussion to this meeting.
Okay, so any other opinions on this before I move this one to discuss? I mean, yeah, we can't really discuss the GitHub issues really, like, actually created by the community
So
manager.
I'm not sure what the take. Well, I guess just assign. Well, can I just get a TLDR on the takeaway from this discussion then?
Identify owners for each repo. The owners are responsible for triaging the issues, and any issues they feel need to be discussed with the wider group could be brought here as new items.
Can we also put a note on that that we should, for a couple of weeks, just get some stats on the issues in this group? I can do that and make sure that issues are getting triaged. So maybe in like 2 weeks, come back, and if we notice things haven't been triaged, we can do something a bit more processy.
Yeah, by all means, some kind of reports on issue age and issue staleness would be good. I mean, I think step one is to identify the repos we care about. That has to be a first step to decide which ones we want to be tracking stats on issues on, which ones we want owners on. Perhaps we would look at removing GitHub issues from some of our repos, the ones where we don't necessarily want issues being logged against some of the older repos that are not as relevant in this brave new world of services.
So let me try to write TLDR here. That's okay. And please correct me if there is something wrong that I'm writing. Is this all right? We like GitHub issues. There are tools that can sync data between GitHub and Jira, but we don't know currently if we should go with a tool like that. If we want to go with a tool like that, maybe we can like create another task for that, because that's something big, if you ask me. And tool or no tool, we want to have people as owners for the repos.
I think that about sums it up.
Okay, cool. And so how should we organize this work, assigning people as owners? So I can't just add members here. There are lots of repositories, and should we go with volunteering way, like send an email to the mailing list saying something like every repo has to have an owner, and please go and volunteer, or something like that?
I think step one is maybe a mail out on the mailing list saying we're looking to formally identify repo owners. Please reply with the repos that you feel you would be a natural owner for, and we'll see how far we get with that. We'll do a gap analysis of repos that we feel still need an owner, and we can do another pass, like look at the top contributors and maybe reach out to people and ask them would they be willing to.
I think that's a good summary of this thing then. Okay, who wants to send this email? And where should we store this information? Like on a page or on a spreadsheet? Or
I can build quick script that will just gather the number of repositories and then get the biggest contributors and then send email with the proposed repo owners. So if someone will not disagree, okay, I don't want to be repo owner, then we can just apply it by single person can do it just by adding the PR with the owners file. So that's how it could work technically.
Okay, I think that's a really good start, Wojciech. As to the list of repos, how are we going to identify the ones we care about out of the many repos we have?
It's actually done quite good. It's in Mobile Core README. We have all of them listed. So initially, before we had a website, we just made an attempt to list all of them in a Mobile Core repository. So in README, there are links to all of this that are, have some significance. If you will find that there are some that we are missing, then let me know. Or just create PR and add them.
Or maybe everything in AeroGear that has commits in the last year or so.
There will be many, like we contributed to the past repositories. So this may not be reliable because there will be some old repositories that are still updated. I think that I checked the README now. It lists all of the plugins, SDKs, APVs, and so on. So should be easy.
Okay, and do we want to store the owner information there? I missed that one, sorry, when I was writing.
Owner will be just single file added to each repository. So once we get approval, so no one will strongly disagree with being an owner, we just single person can do it. I can myself do it, create PR against every repository.
Okay, thanks. That makes sense. Yeah, I will not write everything down here because it's very long, and we have only 2 minutes. So I will also move this one to discussed column. Yeah, then let's finish the meeting. I think we made good progress. We talked about 3 cards and create some actions. And yeah, we will check them again in the next meeting. Thanks, everybody.